Once upon a time, in the heart of the Whispering Woods, there lived a peculiar witch named Wendelmer. She had a tall, crooked hat, a cloak the color of midnight, and a tiny house perched on the highest hill. But there was one problem. Wendelmer had forgotten her magic. She didn't know how or why it happened. One day, she could stir potions that made trees dance and stars twinkle, and the next, she woke up with an empty mind. Her spellbook was just a jumble of strange symbols, and her wand was nothing more than a useless twig. Oh dear, Wendelmer sighed, staring at her bubbling cauldron. I can't even remember how to make tea properly, let alone a potion. Determined to regain her magic, Wendelmer set off on a journey through the forest. She first visited the wise owl who lived in the tallest oak tree. "Mr. Owl, do you know how I can remember my magic?" she asked. The owl blinked. "Perhaps it's hidden in a place you've forgotten to look." Wendelmer scratched her head. "A place I've forgotten? But where?" She wandered deeper into the woods, past the chattering brook and the sleepy meadows, until she reached the home of the trickster fox. "Fox, I've lost my magic. Do you know how I can find it?" The fox grinned slyly. "Maybe it's not lost at all. Maybe you just need to believe it's still inside you." Wendelmer frowned. That didn't make much sense either. How could she believe in something she couldn't even feel? At last, she reached the sparkling lake, where the water shimmered like diamonds. She leaned over and stared at her reflection. "I am a witch," she whispered. "I am Wendelmer, the great forest witch. But without my magic, what am I?" As she gazed into the water, something incredible happened. The surface rippled, and suddenly she saw herself as a little girl, waving her wand for the very first time. She had been so excited, so full of wonder. She had believed with all her heart that magic was real. And then it hit her. Magic wasn't something you could lose, like a misplaced hat. Magic was inside her all along. It was in her laughter, in her kindness, in the way she saw the world. She stood up tall, raised her hands, and with a deep breath, she whispered, "I believe in my magic." A warm golden glow spread through her fingertips. Sparks danced in the air. Her wand trembled in her hand, and, poof, a flurry of tiny glowing butterflies burst into the sky. Wendelmer gasped. She remembered. She twirled, giggled, and sent glittering spells swirling through the air. The trees swayed, the stars winked, and the whole forest seemed to sigh in relief. The wise owl had been right. Her magic was in a place she had forgotten to look, and the trickster fox had been right too. It had never been lost at all. From that day on, Wendelmer never doubted herself again, and every time she cast a spell, she smiled, knowing that the greatest magic of all was believing in herself.